Good afternoon, students. Welcome back to your geography online classes. Hope all of you are doing well despite the situation which is going on around us. So in the previous video, I have explained to you about the location and the political division of North America. So in today's video, I will explain to you about the physical features. There are four major physical divisions in North America: Canadian Shield, Western Cordilleras, Central Lowland, and the Appalachian Highlands. The Canadian Shield, which is also called the Laurentian Plateau, can be found in the extreme north of the continent near and around the Hudson Bay. It occupies about half the area of Canada. So the Canadian Shield is also known as the Laurentian Plateau. It is found in the northern part of the continent of North America, in and around the Hudson Bay, and it occupies half the area of Canada. So if you look at the physical features or the physical map of North America, you will find that the Canadian Shield is located in the northern part, in and around the Hudson Bay. The Canadian Shield is made up of very old hard rocks that are rich in minerals. During the Ice Age, it was covered under thick sheets of moving ice called glaciers. Even today, the northern part of this shield remains under snow and ice almost throughout the year. At the same time, rocks were also being dragged across the surface by the force of the ice sheets. These created large hollows which eventually turned into lakes. So the Canadian Shield is made up of old hard rocks, and these rocks are rich in minerals. So during the Ice Age, so what is an Ice Age? So an ice age is a long period of reduction in the temperature of Earth's surface and atmosphere, resulting in the presence or expansion of continental and polar ice sheets and alpine glaciers. It is a geologic period during which ice thickly covers vast masses of land. So during this ice age, during this period, a vast area of the Earth's surface is covered with ice and snow. So the Earth is uh, covered with ice, and you'll find here in this picture, you'll see that it looks more or less like a snowball. So even today, the northern part of the Canadian Shield is covered with ice and snow all throughout the year. So the rocks were also being dragged across the surface. It is brought up to the Earth's surface by the force of these ice sheets. So these created large hollows, that is a large pit or hole or a cavity which turns into lakes. So the Great Lakes comprise of 5 lakes, that is Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. You have studied about these lakes in the previous chapters when we studied about the oceans and continents. They also form the southern boundary of the Canadian Shield. So these lakes form the southern boundary of the Canadian Shield. Other lakes found here are the Winnipeg, Athabasca, and the Great Bear. The famous Niagara Falls is located between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. It also forms the international boundary between Canada and USA. So the famous Niagara Falls is located between these two lakes, that is Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, and this falls, it forms the international boundary between Canada and USA. So the Western Cordilleras. So what are these Cordilleras? The Cordilleras, they are a group of parallel mountain ranges. So these Western Cordilleras, they are young-fold mountains that run parallel to the west coast of North America. And this run from North Alaska to South Panama. These mountains are a series of ranges that attain their greatest width in the middle. So these Western Cordilleras, they are young-fold mountains that run parallel to the west coast of North America, and it stretches from North Alaska to South Panama. They are a series of mountain ranges that attain greatest width in the middle. The highest of these ranges is the Rocky Mountain Range. So the Rocky Mountains, they are the largest mountain ranges of North America, which stretches 300 miles in straight line from the northern part of western Canada to New Mexico in southwestern United States. The other important mountain ranges in the western Cordillera are the Alaska Range, the Coastal Range, the Cascade Range, the Sierra Nevada, and the Sierra Madre. The western Cordilleras are young-fold mountains which were formed during the same time as the Himalayas. So these western Cordilleras, they were formed during the same time as the Himalayan mountains. They are also characterized by hot springs and geysers. The Yellowstone National Park in USA is very well known for such phenomenon. Active volcanoes are located in Alaska and Mexico. So what are these natural geysers? A natural geyser is a mechanism that extracts heat from the earth. Trapped meteoric water is heated and then thrown clear of its reservoir in as hot water or steam carrying heat with it. So this is due to geothermal heat. So the Yellowstone National Park in USA is very well known for such phenomenon. So active volcanoes are located in Alaska and Mexico. So you will find active volcanoes in and around Alaska and Mexico. So these volcanoes are part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. Earthquakes are also common here. So what is this Pacific Ring of Fire? The Ring of Fire is also referred to as the Circum-Pacific Belt, is a path along the Pacific Ocean characterized by active volcanoes and frequent earthquakes. So this Pacific Ocean, the Circum-Pacific Belt is characterized by these active volcanoes and earthquakes. So this Pacific Ring of Fire stretches across 15 countries, countries like Indonesia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, Chile, Japan, United States, Canada, Guatemala, Russia, and Peru. Mount McKinley, 6,194 meter, is located in the western Cordilleras and is the highest mountain peak of North America. So the highest mountain peak of North America is Mount McKinley, which is located in the western Cordilleras. These high snow-covered mountains cause relief rainfall. Hence, the melting snow and rain cause many rivers to originate from here. The rivers also carve out gorges in the plateaus like the famous Grand Canyon by the Colorado River. When the rivers do not flow out into the ocean, they form areas of inland drainage such as the Great Salt Lake. Many intermontane plateaus like Colombia, Colorado, and Mexican are found between the Pacific coast and the Rocky Mountains. So these high snow-covered mountains, they causes relief rainfall. Hence, the snow melting from these mountains, they cause many rivers to originate from here. So these rivers, they also carve out gorges. So these gorges, they are narrow valley with steep rocky walls, like the famous Grand Canyon by the Colorado River. So when these rivers do not flow into the ocean. So these rivers, which is caused by the melting snow, they do not flow into the ocean. Instead, they form these inland drainage such as the Great Salt Lake. Many intermontane plateau. So these intermontane plateau you have studied in your previous chapters. They are plateaus which are surrounded by hills or mountains at all sides. So these intermountain plateaus like Colombia, Colorado, and Mexican are found between the Pacific coast and the Rocky Mountains. So this is the Grand Canyon of the Colorado River. So you'll find that the river flows between the steep rocky walls. The central lowlands or the prairies are found between the western Cordilleras, the Canadian Shield, and the Appalachian Mountains. So the central lowlands or the prairies, they are found between the western Cordilleras, the Canadian Shield, and the Appalachian Mountains. So these plains, they are not completely flat but are gently undulating. These plains are drained by two main rivers. One is the basin of the Mackenzie River in the north, which drains into the Arctic Ocean. The other is a larger basin in the south, drained by the Mississippi and Missouri Rivers and the tributaries which flow into the Gulf of Mexico. The north-south extent of the prairies is about 6,000 km, while the east-west extent is about 2,000 km. These rivers have deposited silt to form a fertile plain. So these plains, they are not completely flat but are gently undulating. So these the plains, they are drained by two main river systems, that is the Mackenzie River in the north and the Mississippi and the Missouri River in the south. The Mackenzie River is drained into the Arctic Ocean, whereas the Mississippi and the Missouri River is drained into the Gulf of Mexico. So the north-south extent of the prairies is about 6,000 kilometers, while the east-west extent is about 2,000 kilometers. So this is one of the most fertile lands of US or the United States. The Appalachian Highlands. Another name for the Eastern Highland is the Appalachian Mountains. These are old fold mountains which were once very high. They run parallel to the narrow east coast for a distance of about 2,500 km, which an average height of approximately 1,000 meter to 1,800 meter. The Appalachians begin near Newfoundland in the north to Atlanta in the south. The major mountain ranges in these highlands, they are the Green Mountains, the Blue Ridge, and the White Mountains. Mount Mitchell with 2,037 meter is the highest point of the highlands. So the Appalachian Mountains or the Appalachian Highlands, they stretches from the east to northeastern of North America. So another name for the Eastern Highland is the Appalachian Mountains. So these are the old fold mountains formed roughly around 480 million years ago. And they were once very high. So they run parallel to the narrow east coast for a distance of about 2,500 kilometers with an average height of 1,000 to 1,800 meter. So the Appalachians begin near Newfoundland in the north to Atlanta in the south. So it stretches from Newfoundland in the north to Atlanta in the south. So the major mountain ranges in these highlands, they are the Green Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountain, and the White Mountains. So Mount Mitchell is the highest point of the highlands. So Piedmont Plateau lies between the Appalachian and the narrow coastal plain found in the east. So the Piedmont Plateau, you have also studied this in your previous chapters. So it is a plateau formed at the foothill of extensive mountains. So rivers that rise in these highlands, they cross the plateau and drop sharply to the coast in a series of waterfalls, and it is known as the fall line. The waterfalls along the fall line are also used to generate electricity. When the rivers reach the coastal plain, they are used for transportation since they now flow slowly and become navigable. So this is the structure of the fall line. So these rivers that rises in these highlands, they cross the plateau, the Piedmont Plateau, and drop sharply to the coast in a series of waterfalls known as the fall line, and when these rivers reach the coastal plain, they are used for navigation. So the waterfalls along the fall lines, they are also used to generate electricity, and when they reach the coastal plain, they are used for transportation as a waterway because they are able to be sailed on by ships or boats. So this is a fall line. So this is the waterfalls along the fall line. So we shall stop here for today. In the next video, we shall continue with the remaining portion. Thank you.